Right, so what's going on everyone, what's up, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video we are talking about how to use lifting belts and if you should be using one, and you know what the different types and just general questions that could come up with lifting belts. Number one, you've got your main kind of powerlifting and strongman belt. Now this belt is typically used for squats, deadlifts and anything like an overhead press, and these belts are good. They're good, thick, same size all the way around, and they're very strong, very durable, and they will last a long time. Secondly, you've got your kind of like velcro-y and kind of like stitchy, kind of like flexible belts, but these belts are more used in Olympic lifts, for example, like a snatch or a clean and press. It just allows them more mobility and it just doesn't get in the way of their lifts in that second part of the movement. Thirdly, you've got your old school bodybuilding belt, your typical gym belt, and these belts should never be used. They just are not the same thickness, the same width the whole way around. Generate enough support for your abdominals at the front. If you're going to be using the belt, make sure you're using a strong, durable, heavy belt, one that's going to actually help you with your lifts. That if you don't know how to use a lifting belt, or you don't have the knowledge to kind of use the lifting belt to your advantage, there's no point putting it on. So when it comes to lifting or a lifting belt, you need to know how to breathe. And now, number one rule in breathing is you need to breathe into your stomach. Okay, so you need to take in a good gasp of air and bring it down into your stomach. Try to avoid bringing it up into your chest, okay? And the reason behind this is because you need to create abdominal pressure. Pretty much picture it as a second set of abs, okay? So you are using a lifting belt, you're creating pressure against that lifting belt, which is then pretty much making your abs and your lower back do their job. So you want to avoid, hyperextending your lower back when you push your belly out. So imagine sucking in and pushing your belly out, but to the point where you keep a neutral spine, okay? Don't actually move your hips forward to where you hyperextend your lower back, okay? So keep a neutral spine, suck in, brace your abs, push your stomach out, and then create that tension between your stomach and your belt, okay? Now, a lifting belt isn't going to add 100 or 200 kilos to your lift. It might add, a couple of kilos. Is when you are training for a specific strength program. If you're performing anything that's above your 90% of your 1 rep max, you shouldn't wear it all the time. You shouldn't become dependent on it. If you let's just use squats as an example. So if you're squatting and you're squatting without a belt and you get to a point where you plateau at 100 kilos, now adding a lifting belt may may give you strength and may increase your squat to allow you to go further. So let's say you increase it by another 10 kilos, so it allows you to go to 110. So that's kind of like 12 weeks of programming. So if you get to a point where you plateau with a belt, what you do then is you then change your program up. Now the main focus is, remember, do not become dependent on the belt. I'm not saying you need to wear a belt all the time. If you're performing anything below 85%, 80% of your 1 rep max, do not wear a belt. Do not wear it. You do not need it. I only wear it on my working sets. So if my working sets are 3 sets of 3 reps with 140 kg on the bar, I will only put my belt on when I reach 140 kg. I will not put it on at any time before that. Do not wear belts when you're doing a bicep curl. Do not wear belts just for the sake of wearing them. If you're going to wear them, learn how to breathe and learn how to control your breathing, learn how to take advantage of your breathing, and learn how to create that abdominal pressure while keeping your lumbar spine straight and neutral, and then also actually being able to perform the rep and actually get the advantage of a belt. Because there's no point just belting up if you're literally just you don't know what you're doing. You're a beginner will just throw the belt on and kind of just do the same thing that they just done without a belt. So there's no real point in them wearing a belt. What you want to do is, if you're a beginner, you want to learn how to breathe. You want to learn how to create abdominal pressure without a belt. You want to learn how to grind out a rep, because most beginners don't know that feeling of grinding, being able to push a weight that's too heavy. So focus on that first, and then when you start plateauing and when you start, you know, getting more into it and becoming more of an intermediate, you can then look at adding a belt into your training. Now, and there is a theory, and there is, you know, people that do say that if you can increase your 1 rep max without a belt, that your 1 rep max with a belt will go up. Yeah, that's true, and I do agree with that statement. If you can increase your squat without a belt, and you will also then increase your 1 rep max with a belt. 99% of the time, if you can increase your 1 rep max with a belt, you will also increase your 1 rep max without a belt. So it's pretty much just flipped on its end. The statement is true in both sides. You know, you genuinely won't see someone who's increased their squat with a belt, you know, increase their squat without a belt. So that theoretically never really happens. The main focus for a belt is to create that abdominal pressure. So me personally, wearing a belt always reminds me I need to create that abdominal pressure. But in some cases, people don't know how to, you know, create abdominal pressure. And the fact that a belt is on their waist actually gives them something to push against. So having that picture in their head actually reminds them, yes, I do need to create my abdominal pressure. I need to do it now, just before I squat. And you should breathe in at the top of every rep. Create that abdominal pressure, you know, good gasp of air in, create abdominal pressure, perform your rep, breathe out at the top, and repeat, especially if you're performing anything above your 90% of your 1 rep max. And this is all down to, you know, personal preference. Like, I prefer, personally, when I'm squatting, I like to wear a belt just around where my belly button is, and when I'm deadlifting, I prefer to wear the belt a little bit higher, you know, just above my belly button. It just allows me more space and allows me to keep a neutral spine. And, you know, when it comes to an overhead press, I like to make sure that the belt is just in the middle of my back, you know, so it's giving me good support and it's keeping my spine neutral. And if you're training for, you know, like a powerlifting contest, you know, you want to be using a belt because you're going to use a belt in competition. You're going to need to get used to, you know, how to wear it, where should you wear it, where it feels comfortable for you, where do you perform best. I highly recommend, you know, if you have a belt, use it. There's no disadvantages of using it. It doesn't actually help your joints or any, you know, necessary ligaments or joints, you know, that actually perform a squat or a deadlift. It only creates that abdominal pressure. And studies have shown that people who use the belt actually activated their core muscles more than people who squatted without a belt. And, you know, my idea behind that and my reasoning behind that is because I think the people who wore the belt were reminded, okay, I have to create abdominal pressure, which then caused their core muscles to work much harder throughout the, you know, the time that they squatted. And, you know, if you put on weight on the bar and you then go to squat without a belt on, you're not reminded. So there could be 2 or 3 reps where, you know, you're like, shit, I never created abdominal pressure there. I didn't actually, you know, push my stomach out, didn't breathe in. So that's my idea behind it. That belt is just a good reminder of, okay, I need to brace my abs. I need to make sure my lower back and my core are doing the job they're supposed to be doing in this squat. Like I said, if you increase your squat with a lifting belt, your squat without a lifting belt should come up too. It's the main thing to remember is do not become dependent on your belt. You know, like if you get to the point where you leave your belt in the car or you leave it at home and you're like in the gym and you're like, I can't lift bro, you know, I haven't got my belt. Well then it's good to cycle on and off a belt. But if you only are using your belt when you're performing a 90% of your 1 rep max, and you actually are feeling the benefit of it and it is adding a couple of kilos or a couple of pounds to your squat or your deadlift, well then keep using it. If you're seeing progression with a belt, well then keep using it. When you plateau with a belt, it's time to change your program up and start a new plan, start a new program. And that was just my idea on how to use a lifting belt. And you know, first remember, learn how to breathe. First learn how to breathe, then look at getting a lifting belt. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it helpful? You know, I love kind of interacting and stuff. But that is today's video, everyone. So until the next one, remember, stay safe and enjoy.